Now, today I'm just going to give you a very simplified version of the patient journey. During Lori Grant's workshop this afternoon, she's going to go through a much more detailed version of this. And I've just simplified it for the sake of today's discussion. So the patient journey, you can think of it as patient first experiences symptoms, and there's a trigger that happens to the patient where they are experiencing a change in their life. They're not able to do something that they were previously, and they might go online and do a Google search to determine what that condition might be and self-diagnose. From there, they might be prompted to talk to their doctor and seek that diagnosis, and hopefully they've got their doctor discussion guide where they ask the exact questions we want them to ask to shape that discussion. So they'll seek out that diagnosis, and once they've got that diagnosis, they're condition aware. And at that point in time, they may have received their prescription, and again, they might choose to research online and understand the implications of that prescription. And by prescription, I mean not just medication. It could be a medical device. It could be some sort of treatment. From there, they do have the treatment. They go through with the treatment, and depending on the nature of the therapy that's given to the patient, there might be different issues to address. Might be compliance might be a huge issue to address, depending on the nature of the condition. And then finally, there's ongoing support. And this is especially important if there's a large caregiver bias. So when we look at a particular brand or a particular condition, we can see a different weighting of the conversation depending on the nature of the brand or condition. So is it a condition, for instance, that often gets undiagnosed or misdiagnosed? If so, then we would weight the conversation on the symptoms, making people aware of the symptoms that lead to a particular condition that might often be missed. So in that case, we might target a search campaign or a social network campaign where we highlight the symptoms and give people an assessment tool to be able to determine, identify what the different diagnoses might be for their particular condition. If you're first line, then you might want to grow awareness of the condition, because that makes sense. If you grow the awareness of your condition and grow the awareness of the diagnosis, then that could lead to a corresponding uplift in terms of scripts. Or are you one of many alternatives? If so, then you need to find a way to differentiate your brand, and that could be brand.com website, and look at differentiating yourself in terms of either how the medication works, or like Pat was saying and what Brian was saying, in terms of going beyond the pill, in terms of layering those services and support on top of that. If it's a silent disease, you might have to emphasize more on the treatment side of things and reinforce the importance of staying on treatment and the benefit of staying on treatment. And if it's caregiver-centric, then you might have a much more heavier weighting on the support side of things. We've built out sites where, for a condition where it did have a kind of significant support component to it, where we built like mini social networks for a patient and their kind of support team to interact with, and enable those supporters to feed back and forth and provide ongoing encouragement to the patient. So when it comes to social and digital overall, you've got to look at what's my condition like, what is my treatment like, and where in this patient journey can I get the greatest amount of leverage? And where do I need to insert or create a conversation piece that facilitates the awareness in that particular step in that patient journey? So if we look at sites like examples of kind of social media campaigns like Gardasil, they have a Facebook fan page in terms of taking a step against cervical cancer. So here, awareness is the key. At the time, Gardasil is the only HPV, a vaccine against HPV. There's another one coming up, but because it was first, it made a lot of sense for them to create awareness on the condition. And a channel like Facebook can be good for that. And it's a vaccine that's applicable to a broad audience as opposed to a very niche audience. So that's where something like Facebook can make sense, as opposed to a very specialized condition where it wouldn't necessarily fit as well. There is risk mitigation, for example, in terms of not having the post-to-wall functionality or discussion groups, as this is primarily just a broadcast channel for them. We look at my asthma story. So you've got Symbicort here from AstraZeneca, and there's different options in terms of treating asthma. And this helps to kind of add beyond the pill in terms of differentiating Symbicort based on the testimonials, as well as the My Measures for Success program to deliver a wrapper of services above and beyond the pill, the medication in of itself. And then on the support side, we have the celebration chain from AstraZeneca for Arimidex, and it allows loved ones or supporters to create a paper doll to celebrate someone they know that has or has had breast cancer. And it's a way of expressing their support to one another. So the what we should talk about, really, you've got to focus on which stage in the patient journey are you going to have the greatest amount of leverage. The second question to ask yourself is, where should we talk? Where should we have that conversation? We often start with brand.com as our hub, and then we might have a corresponding set of unbranded sites that relate to the condition. And that's fine as a starting point, and that's a necessary starting point. But there's lots of different places that people obviously go online. When it comes to health, people don't just go to one website. They go to several. They look to corroborate the information, and if they see the same thing said on multiple sites, it reinforces it to them that, okay, this must be accurate. The other thing is that we've got to go to where people are going. We cannot rely simply on having our own site and hoping that people will come. You can have a great search engine marketing campaign that will drive a lot of traffic to you, but you've got to find ways to be found at the places where people are going. Now, that being said, though, brand.com still has a very significant place to play. It certainly has an impact in terms of increasing brand favorability and new patient starts among prospects, and as well as brand favorability and adherence next fill amongst patients. So there is a lift that correlates to users visiting a brand.com website. But we kind of espouse the approach of fishing where the fish are. And I'll give you a quick example of this. Roger Federer has his own .com website. And recently he announced the birth of his twin baby girls. But he also has a Facebook fan page. Now, if you kind of look at the stats that are available on these two different kind of properties, web properties, you have the ability to become either a member or a fan on either site. So on rogerfederer.com, there are 268,000 fans. This was taken a few months ago. His Facebook fan page, he has 2.5 million fans. When he announced the birth of his twin baby girls, there was 4,800 comments at that time. On his Facebook fan page, he had 31,000 comments, and he had 93,000 likes on there. So, if he just had his .com website, he would have 1/10 of the traffic that he has on his Facebook site, on his fan page. And what we espouse as a strategy is like, okay, let's look at where the fish are, let's be present there, and then we'll link back to our .com website and drive traffic back to where we want them to go.